All right, hey guys, and welcome back to another Star Wars podcast. I am your host, the Twisted Jedi, and with me, as always, is Lethal Lightning. How you doing today, mate?
Fan-jolly-tastic. It's good to be back doing these.
Awesome. So today, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Star Wars Resistance.
I've seen people calling it Resistance is futile.
Yeah, so we obviously have seen the new teaser trailer or 1 minute showing what they've put into it so far, and it hasn't been received well at all. Like, we were just checking the stats on YouTube, and
it's 52k down, 9.5 up.
Yeah, there you go.
With nearly a million views.
Down, 9 up. Yeah, so it's really not doing well at all. It hasn't been received well, and I think the biggest thing that I want to talk about today is not just the overall thoughts of the show and things like that, but really, you know, what the community is receiving it as and what they expect from it and what they should expect from it. So we're going to just start out. I want you to give me your first thoughts and what you think it's going to be.
Oh, pretty negative. I mean, it's a 1 minute trailer. Nothing in it really stands out as interesting. I mean, the animation style, it just looks so cheap. And like, it's Disney, and it really surprises me because when you think of Disney animation, you think of like the top quality stuff. But I don't know if you ever saw a show called Iron Man Armored Adventures. This looks just like that, except worse, and that animation was really bad on that. Nothing about this looks good, to be honest. Like, I understand it's for kids, but, you know, kids get bored, especially in this day and age. You know, you're going to have to do something cool, you know, like fun, and nothing about this. Like, if I was a 10-year-old, I'd probably be somewhat hyped for this, but I probably would have been more interested in, like, a Darth Vader comic, which is kind of like what I am now still. But overall, I'm not feeling it, man. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned the art style behind it. You know, they did say before that it was going to have like an anime-inspired art style. It'd be similar to, you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
This looks nothing
honestly,
like that.
I don't see that at all.
Nah, I don't get it at all. It doesn't even look like it was drawn. It looks like it was done with a computer.
Right, exactly. And when they said it was going to have that Avatar style art, I just thought, yeah, that sounds awesome. It sounds like it'd be really cool animation. But from what we saw in that teaser trailer, it looks completely different and not in a good way. And
if you freeze frame it, like pause on the characters' faces, it looks so cheap. Like, it looks like old school, what was it called? Speed Racer, the way his lip would move and it was just one motion. It looks like that, and the way the eyes just roll back and forth. One thing that looks kind of cool, I reckon, are the ships. Apart from that, man, there's not really much here that I'm actually liking. Like, again, I do understand it's for kids, but nah, I don't. I think, you know, the community is not liking this, and there's a few reasons why. It is set during the sequel trilogy, current state of Lucasfilm, and it's definitely been overshadowed by the Clone Wars revival.
I just think, like, being, like you said, like, it's meant to be a kid's show and it's on the Disney Channel and everything, but one thing that really stood out, and it was something that we didn't notice until a little while after the trailer had been out, was that it has a 10 p.m. time slot.
10 p.m. You know, no one's been able to answer this question.
Yeah. What kid is going to be up watching, you know, Disney Channel at 10 p.m.? What parent is going to let a young kid, like 10 years old, be up that late?
So it's not just the fact that it's on at 10 p.m., it's that it debuts at 10 p.m. So that means they're going to want the kid to stay up to watch that, which it's just not going to happen. To be honest, when I first heard the 10 p.m. thing, I thought that was 10 p.m. our time. So I was like, oh, that's like, what, early morning over there? That makes sense. But it's like, no, 10 p.m. over there. And it comes out like in October, so towards the end of the school year. You know what they're thinking? Like, I've seen people, you know, make the argument, oh, well, maybe it's going to get really dark and be really violent. Then why is it advertised as a kid's show? And why does it have this dodgy animation then? Like, I just don't know. What's the angle? Is there 52,000 of us missing something? And what are the 9.5 saying that we're not?
Something that I thought about as well. Like, yeah, if it's airing at 10 p.m., is it going to be more dark and violent than it appears to be in that trailer? Because, you know, if you're appealing to an older audience, then you'd think we would have seen something in that trailer. But like we said, that just looked like a kid's show.
Well, maybe it's just the world's worst trailer.
Think that the 10 p.m. time slot makes me think like they're holding something back that we could expect a bit more mature out of it later on.
Well, I would certainly hope so, based on like where this is set, 6 months before The Force Awakens. So you've already had assassination attempts on Leia, you've got a demilitarized New Republic. You got the First Order, who's in the unknown regions. Just, the unknown regions is like the most dangerous place in Star Wars, and they've had to, fight off the Grisk, probably. The Chiss Ascendancy's out there. God knows what else is out there. For all we know, Abeloth is out there. So the First Order's just dominated their way through that. And now they're coming in, getting ready to invade the galaxy. And this show is based around, pod racing, swoop bike racing. That's how the character goes undercover. I don't understand. How do you go from the dangers of the unknown regions to this, to bike racing? It doesn't even sound like a good narrative.
Yeah, it's just weird. I know they wanted to base it more around, aerial combat and, fighters and things like that.
I'm all for that.
A new pilot that's coming through the ranks, but it just feels like it doesn't have that Star Wars feel about it. I know we've got Poe Dameron in there and Captain Phasma and stuff like that, but it just, where's the Jedi feel to it? I know Star Wars isn't all Jedi, but, you want to have at least a hint of it, or at least something little in there that gives you some kind of Force-sensitive being, unless this main character is going to turn out to be Force-sensitive.
Oh, God, don't say it.
I don't think he will.
Nah, I honestly hope not. I mean, Poe Dameron, maybe we'll get some cool, Rogue Squadron type stuff. But there was nothing in your trailers, in your basic trailer, you'll summarize what the villain is, what the threat is. And there was nothing in that looked the slightest bit threatening, even for a 10-year-old kid. You get the
golden Phasma wasn't
the golden Phasma. Yeah, I know, but mind you, Phasma's not intimidating, full stop. But it was almost like a pause, if you blink and you'll miss it. She's hardly even in it. It's just childish, humor the whole way through it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, she's just there with what looks like gold armor, which I don't know. I guess has been downgraded. And like I said, Phasma is just not intimidating. I did see a really funny joke though, that because how in every movie she's been in, she's just had her ass kicked and basically been killed every time. They could make a running gag out of it, she's like Kenny from South Park. Every episode she just gets drilled.
Just gets destroyed.
I can't possibly see what the villain's going to be. But, like I said, it's the First Order. They're supposed to be, the greatest threat at this time. But they're not even in it. Phasma's in it, but it hardly even looks like they're in it. And this dude's being sent out there to find evidence of them. How's he going to find that swoop bike racing?
Yeah, it's 6 months before The Force Awakens. How in that time frame do you not have a massive army of people? How do you not have Kylo Ren included in the trailer, or some kind of development from him? 6 months beforehand, it's not like he was still on Luke's Jedi Academy. He was long gone by that point.
Even Battlefront 2 right at the end gave us a pretty good Kylo Ren moment, and that was set just before Force Awakens.
Exactly. So I thought they would have included him in the trailer. That's something you want to see. But
and what's the one thing everyone's been complaining about since the sequel trilogy was announced? We haven't had Luke, Leia, and Han together. Okay, fair enough. You killed off Han Solo. Carrie Fisher's dead in real life. Luke Skywalker. Okay, I get it. You can't have them together in live action. This is a huge wasted opportunity. You could have had all three of them there. And then, maybe then, you could justify the 10 p.m. starting time. But that's really grasping at it. Poe Dameron. Okay, he's somewhat popular. I mean, people that like the sequel trilogy tend to like Poe Dameron. No one really likes Phasma. Poe isn't the character that can carry a show, if you know what I mean. And
you need something that's going to draw people in. I'll use Star Wars Rebels for an example. We didn't know the characters going into those seasons. We didn't know anything about them really. Maybe a little bit about Kanan, but as far as Ezra and Hera and all the rest of them, we didn't know anything about them. But those characters really developed, and I think the Jedi interest between Ezra and Kanan was what held the show together. That was the main part of it, really.
Pretty much.
Once Ahsoka was included,
but that all stemmed from them being Force sensitive and all that.
Exactly, and that's what drew me into Star Wars Rebels. I thought it was a kids show to start out too, and then once you see what starts happening, you're kind of like, oh, okay, this isn't actually half bad. So.
Yeah, I mean...
the thing is, with Resistance, it's never going to be Rebels. It's definitely never going to be Clone Wars. Even basing it around aerial, dogfights, it's not going to be anything that even vibes the other two shows. So, minimal excitement for me on this one.
I wouldn't even mind a show that was about aerial combat. Then we get something like Rogue Squadron and all that. But you'd need characters like Wedge Antilles and You definitely need Luke, and
you could have the Falcon in there. You could have Han during that time slot.
You could have the Falcon in here, yeah.
Force Awakens, so
yeah.
Had the Millennium Falcon included in some way, that would have got people hyped on that trailer.
Yeah, there was just nothing in the trailer that appealed to long-time Star Wars fans. Like, this was purely directed at children, but I can't. Well, yeah, I mean, even some sequel trilogy fans are looking at this going, what the hell? Like, in a way, they've been ripped off as well. But I just don't even think, like, even me as a child, I wouldn't have been that excited for this. And a lot of that is to do with the animation. Like, I'm looking at a freeze frame of it right now, and it's just so cheap. I can't believe how bad it is. It just doesn't look good. Like, Poe's nose is huge.
I did notice that, actually.
It's gigantic, isn't it? The main character, I forgot his name. I'm thinking it's Kaz or something like that.
Kazuda.
Yeah, something like that. His eyebrows, cover up half his face almost. I'm not digging it. I'm not digging it at all. And then, with what happened with Dave Filoni, where he pretty much started up the show and then just left to go to Clone Wars, is a bit of a red flag as well. It's like, well, what storytelling?
It's almost like he knew it was going to be bad, so he didn't want his name on it.
Almost, that could have been it. I think he just really, really, really wanted to go to Clone Wars, and that was where he was needed. But then,
and that's where he should be. That's where he belongs.
It's definitely where he belongs. But then you're just stuck with this, and this is like the scraps. It's purely just the scraps. Yeah. There's nothing here. Yeah, again, the ships look cool. One thing that got pointed out to me, but it was kind of like a who the hell cares sort of thing, was in the background there's a Mandalorian symbol, and it's the same symbol that's on Bo-Katan's helmet. But what, are they going to have Mandalorians rock up and slaughter everyone in a kid's show? I don't think so. I just don't know what's going on with this one.
There's too much to sort of base it off,
Yeah, and the way like Lucasfilm's been behaving at the moment, that's partially due to the, that can possibly add to the 52,000 dislikes, but that's a very small, it's quality, that's what people are judging this on, is its quality in terms of animation, which looks pretty low. The story is just looks like a massive wasted opportunity to me. I said that when I first saw the trailer, I was like, this looks like a wasted opportunity, and I stand by that. There's no Luke. We'll probably get Leia in the first episode. I can see that happening. I doubt there'll be Han. And, most people, that when they think of the sequel trilogy, they're drawn to, like, Rey and Kylo. And Rey's not going to be in this. And I'm pretty confident there won't be Kylo. There might be Kylo, but I don't know. Won't. Maybe Maz Kanata, is she somehow going to be involved?
Yeah, I could see her being in it a little bit. I mean, she has a lot of connections, and she tends to pop up at like the weirdest, most random times. So
yeah, when no one asked. I wouldn't be
surprised if she was actually included in it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just a big why. Like, okay, there was never much excitement for this at the start. Even now, it's like, even though I think you were definitely more optimistic before you saw the trailer, weren't you?
Pre-trailer, yes. Just based off what we had read in a brief summary of what the show would be about, it kind of sounded like it would be okay. Like, I never thought it would be better than Clone Wars or Rebels, like I said before, but I was kind of like, okay, maybe this will be a half decent slot filler until we get something else. But now seeing that trailer, it's just kind of gone down a long way for me. So
yeah, and then I mean, if you search it up on YouTube, a lot of the videos that come up are people just going, what they're not happy with this. I mean,
what is this? Yeah,
I type in Star Wars Resistance, the first thing that comes up is the trailer. The one underneath it says the hate for Star Wars Resistance is real. Star Wars Resistance is futile.
Yeah.
Star Wars Resistance trailer sucks. It's literally called that. Yeah, oh man. And then just looking at this, I don't know if you ever saw this. It's been out for a while now, and it's getting compared to this. Did you ever see the TIE Fighter fan animation film?
No.
Okay, well that's just a fan animation, alright? Goes for about, I want to say less than 10 minutes from memory. Watch that. Okay, watch that, and then come back and watch this trailer, and you're going to be gobsmacked. You're going to think, how? Like, you're going to be thinking that even more. How is this possible? The TIE Fighter animation it's exactly what it sounds like, it's a dogfight in space, between Rebel X-Wings, Imperial TIE Fighters, and the animation is good. It's very good. If the animation in this was more like that, you'd have something really good. And then, I mean, I'm looking at another picture, and it's gold Phasma, and it doesn't even look like she has a cape. Pretty much.
It seems like a completely cheesified, which is a word that I'm making up on the spot.
I buy it.
It's a completely like cheesy version of, you know, what we expected it to be. You know, we thought it was going to be, okay, sick, you know, dogfights, you know, fighters going at it, a lot of explosions, cool aerial maneuvers, things like that. And now it kind of just seems like, oh, we're going to get like swoop bike racing. Yeah, it just seems like nothing, you know. And I guess, you know, the inclusion of Poe is kind of cool. That's the only half decent thing at this point, you know. And like you said, Phasma's kind of another one of those characters that's just a bit, you know, she spends all her time getting her ass whooped, so why would it be any different in this?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not exciting. Not exciting.
And then if you look at the aliens in it, they don't look that good either. And then we got this whole thing with BB-8. It's like, well, of course BB-8's in it because they need to somehow sell toys out of this because, you know, that's what Star Wars merchandise.
Yeah.
But the only thing I can really see potentially selling out of merchandise of this is the ships. Can't picture anyone buying the characters going, this just looks really weird when I put it next to my Rey or whatever. Like, you know, sequel trilogy fans, that this is going to be the odd one out for them. This is almost the equivalent to me as an original trilogy fan when I had the Ewok movies. This could potentially be the same thing. And
could be a holiday special all over again.
Yeah, and is it even going to, like, did they ever mention how long the show's going to, like, go for? Is it, I'm assuming they're going to want to get more than one season out of it.
Yeah, they haven't mentioned anything on seasons or runtime. I think it's going to be 20-minute episodes. They're just probably going to take it season by season and see how it goes. But at this point, I'm expecting it to have one season.
Yeah, I mean, when you got 54k downvotes, 52k downvotes, just on your trailer... and people are already destroying the trailer. Like, I mean, I've watched a few videos and people are tearing this thing apart limb from limb. And then, you know, obviously you got a few people supporting it, but a lot of their arguments are completely invalid. Some of it is good. One thing that tends to come up when a new Star Wars thing is announced is Battlefront 2. All right, and okay, look, I'm not the biggest supporter of Battlefront 2. I play it, I think it's enjoyable in short bursts, but whenever something new comes up in Star Wars, people instantly go, oh, do you think they'll bring out a season for this in Battlefront 2? No one...
Hell no.
No one has said, will there be a Resistance season for Battlefront 2? Now, I am taking a shot at Battlefront 2 here, but is this even too bad for modern Battlefront 2? It looks like it.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I would much rather them revisit something else. Anything else, really. Like, you go back, you do Rogue One content, you do Rebels content, you take anything except for Resistance and put it in Battlefront 2, people are going to be happy.
Yeah, okay, you got the choice between a Resistance season or a second Ewok hunt map. You're going to pick the second Ewok hunt map and play it for 5 minutes.
Right. That's what I mean. Give us maps from Battlefront 2015. I'd take that over Resistance any day, you know?
Alright.
Yeah, it doesn't excite me at all.
If you were in charge of Star Wars Resistance, how would you do the show? I mean, yeah, got to keep it animated. You got to keep it the same animation style, but how would you go about it?
See, again, like if it was completely up to me and 100% in my control, I would not keep the same animation style. I would use that Avatar animation style that they spoke about and make it like that. That would be a cool animation. Or, you know, from what you have said with the TIE Fighter clip, that would be cool as well. You know, anything but what they've done would be better. And I think, you know, some inclusion, like, it's pretty much the things we've already spoken about. Some inclusion of Luke, Leia, or Han, you know, some sort of force-sensitive being included in it. Something a little bit more exciting than just swoop racing or, you know, going undercover as a swoop racer. And
yeah,
I just think, yeah, it could be miles better with tweaks and changes, but at the end of the day, yeah, like we said, it's probably just going to be a kid show. You know, it's just going to be something for the little ones. So
you watch.
It's not for all the hardcore Star Wars fans. And
the views will be catastrophic.
Another year.
They'll get to the end of season 1, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, what do we do to save this show?" And they're going to drop the A-bomb on us. Let's put Ahsoka in it, and then
they're pretty likely that's something that they would do. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like, there is a few things going on here because, you know, there's all the stuff. I know there's a lot of talk with Lucasfilm and all that. You know, I wouldn't say it's evidence, but it's speculation based in forms of fact that seem to suggest there's a big shake-up going on out there, and potentially that could be included why Dave Filoni's not on the project and he's actually being moved up the ranks. Personally, I think it's just purely because he's on Clone Wars. If that is true, that there is actually a massive shake-up out there, this might be like one of the things that just gets scrapped. Like, I'm not saying it will never see the light of day, because it will, but I mean, like, they'll do one season of it and then they'll just push it aside, going, okay, that was from, you know, the last people that ran the show. Now we got some form of order in here.
Yeah. I think you know, they've put a trailer out now. They have to release it. They have to, you know, they can't just can it now. So we'll get at least one season out of it, and you know, it's going to have a bad reaction.
Yeah,
it's going to have a bad reaction. So people are just going to not watch it. They're going to get over it, and it's going to get old real quick. And it's just going to go down the toilet. You know, one season and done. I'm calling it now.
You're calling it one season and done? I'm with you on that one as well. One season and done.
Done. If they do a second season, it'll be scraping the bottom of the barrel, to be honest.
Yeah,
because there are a lot better things they could be working on.
Yeah, well, I think, like, and even just like talking to, like, you know, people like online and all that, asking people their general thoughts. I mean, I did a live stream last night, and people, their first comment was Star Wars Resistance looks shit. Like, that was their first comment.
Yeah.
But I think, like, just the general reaction to it is extremely negative. Extremely. And when Rebels was on season 3, I remember I was working, and pretty much the whole time season 3 was running, I had a set schedule for my work hours, which is something, you know, normally it's very touch and go. But it worked out perfectly. Was I could get home, I could wait, you know, 30 minutes or whatever, and then the show would have been up for me to watch. I couldn't really care less with this. I'm not going to be rushing back home to watch Star Wars Resistance. I mean, I'll probably watch the first episode.
Watch it at all.
I will watch the first episode. Like, I normally watch watch a YouTube video before I go to bed or something like that. And this will be the exact same thing. Like, I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, do I have 20 minutes to kill? Nah, I'll watch it tomorrow. I'm going to watch Gundam or something at the moment. You know, like, it's not on my list. It is, but it's not priority. It's just going to be like more of a curiosity type thing. Like, it'll probably get to a point in a conversation where someone will say, have you watched Star Wars Resistance yet? I'll be like, I'll watch that now, actually. You know, yeah, but that's how I feel about it. Now, do you have anything else you want to say about this animation, air quotes, animation?
I mean, honestly, I'll give it a chance. You know, like I give everything in Star Wars a chance. I'll watch, you know, the first episode or two, see how it goes. If it intrigues me, then I'll keep watching. If it doesn't, then, like you said, I'm not going to be in any rush to watch it. You know, if it comes out on the Friday, you know, I might not watch it for a couple of days or whatever. You know, it's not top priority. Unless the first episode or two really wows me and really gets me excited, it's not going to be up there. Just one of those things that it feels like they're forcing it a little too much. And, you know, it's a hard thing trying to cater to people of all ages. You've got to do a kid's show, and you've got to please the hardcore Star Wars fans that are a lot older as well, you know. So
Clone Wars did it.
You can't always please... Yeah, they did. Clone Wars did it, yeah. But, you know, you can't always have a Clone Wars. You know, that's what makes Clone Wars so special. It was a gem that it catered to every audience, but you can't always have that. So I just think this is going to be a filler.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be known as the one that came out before Clone Wars Revival. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about, which is kind of sad, you know. Normally when you see something, especially a Star Wars trailer, you can go, okay, let's really get into this and see what's going on. But with this, it's just, there's nothing there. And what is there is terrible, absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the fact that you and I can't continue this conversation, like we have nothing left to say on it, shows that, you know, there really isn't much there. Because normally when we do our podcast, we could go on and on and on, but we just cut ourselves short because for the purpose of uploading, you know, how long it takes us. But, you know, with something like this, you know, there's nothing else to say. It's we're done, we're tapped out, and we probably won't talk about this again, to be honest.
Yeah, let's bury it and forget this ever happened, eh?
That's it. All right. So I think that's a good note to wrap it up.
I agree.
All right. So on that note, we will end the podcast there. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am the Twisted Jedi, joined always by Lethal Lightning. We were talking Star Wars Resistance today, and the future does not look good. I'm hoping episode 1 changes our opinions, but we will have to wait and find out for that one. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to both channels for future podcasts. I am the Twisted Jedi, joined always by Lethal Lightning, and may the Force be with you.
Always.
The Sith